Good morning, everyone. I'm Sneha Chakraborty, and I am a born artist, as you can see it here. Even before I could learn how to speak, I knew I was meant to be an artist. You put me in any room, you put me in a maths class, and I knew that I would draw art in the back of my notebook. You put me in a physical education class, and I would draw doodle on the mud. You put me in any room and give me any topic to talk about, and I will add my dance and singing to it. I would add creativity to everything that I did. I knew I was meant to be an artist. Now, was it difficult for me to be one? Yes. Did the society just happen to accept my artist self just like that? Absolutely not. Did anyone at all come and tell me that, Sneha, you choose your career as an artist and it will be a great career? No. On the contrary, people actually told me that if you want to validate yourself as an artist in this world, the only career that you can choose is interior designing. So I did that. I became an interior designer and I did a lot of other things too, only to get the validation from the outside world, from anyone at all, to realize that the validation from anyone does not matter. But that's a whole different story, maybe for another TED Talk. I'm not going there at the moment. I'm going to talk to you about what happened right after I became an artist. Right after I realized that I am going to be who I'm meant to be, which is a born artist. So, I'm taking you to 2018, when I just started painting on canvas. And I would take pictures of the painting that I would create, and I'd put it on my Instagram handle, which was back then called as
Trapped in Pastel. Look how dark I was. Because that's what I felt like. I felt I was trapped. And the only thing I wanted to be trapped in was a little bit of pastel. So I would post those pictures on Instagram, and one fine day, an NGO called Chal Rang De happened to send a DM across, asking me, as they were taking an initiative, a phenomenal initiative. They were painting the walls of slum in Bombay. And they asked me, hey Sneha, I saw your work. It looks very interesting. Do you want to join us? Do you want to paint a wall with us? And I said, yes. It sounds very interesting. I've never done that. I'm only painting on canvas. Hey, why not? So I went there, and this person from Chal Rang De called, and I started painting. I was more focused on what was happening around me. There were so many artists. So a lot of artists paint together, you know. So this was like a balewadi, and there were a lot of artists. Balewadi is a place where kids study, and that was in a slum area in Bombay. So it was a balewadi, and a lot of painters were there, a lot of artists were there, and they all had their own respective walls. And everyone was painting their own unique self, their own creativity, the way they wanted to express. Imagine you have no barrier. You can do whatever you want. And the artist, all they want to do is express through their pen and paper and then brushes. And that's what they got to do on those walls. So I was so mesmerized by that. I got an opportunity to be in a place like that as an artist who was starving to be in a place since 25 years. And this was the first time I saw so many artists around me. I was just in that moment. I was enjoying every little bit of it. I was also focused on the people who were staying there, especially the kids. That moment of my life, that's exactly what I was looking for. I was looking for a space to learn. I was looking for a space to share my creativity with, which was starving inside me. I was looking for a space to listen to other people's stories, learn through them, and also share mine. And everything that I was looking was right in that vicinity, in that slum, in that Balewadi. And that's when I realized that, hey, Sneha, you are going to be a wall muralist. You're going to paint walls for a living. And I did that. I became one. Soon I started getting a lot of commercial projects from different brands, and I would paint for them. And it's a very new profession, right? So it was like, wow, I'm doing something new, something interesting. That's great. I would also go to streets once in a while, whenever I wanted to paint something for my own. And every time I would stand in front of a wall, there was one question that always hit me, that would stand right next to me, was, how do I decide what to paint? And this is what I'm going to talk to you about. How many of you like painting? How many of you like creating, dancing, singing? Oh, lot of creative people in the house today. Great, it'll be fun. I'm sure every one of you, when you sit in front of a paper or your canvas, or any medium for that matter, you think, but banana kya hai? How do I express what I'm thinking of? How do I decide what do I want to paint? So this is actually a very important question. This is actually a very important question for any artist out there, because this is the way that all of you are going to have the lens to view into my mind. This is the way that I am going to express myself to all of you that I have in my mind. How do I decide what I'm going to paint? So let me take you to this process that I have created after many murals and many canvas, many ups and downs. And I've realized that I have a process that I tend to follow. So I've captured that, and I call it breathing. So let me take you down that road. The first step of my breathing process is called inhalation. And I'll keep giving you examples. So it's 2020, and I am in Jaipur. There were not a lot of people there back then, because it was pandemic was just starting out, and a friend of mine called Vinayak, he hosted me, later became my friend because he wanted me to create an artwork on one of his cafes there. So he said, hey Sneha, let me just take you around and show you how Jaipur looks like. So we went together, and oh my God, it's a beautiful city. I have lived in so many different parts of the country. Because of my father's job, I got to experience all the different states. But let me tell you, Jaipur has a whole different personality. It's so magnificent. The culture, the color, the heritage, I felt like I was in a heritage trance. And at that time, I saw an Aghori Baba with dreadlocks, wearing his beautiful clothes. And there was a bird on his shoulder, on his left shoulder. And when I saw him, I felt like they both were having a conversation, not a monologue, mind you, a conversation without using a single word. And it was so beautiful for me to see, because I could connect with what he was feeling, because that's exactly what I felt for this city. So I went back and I painted this. It's called Baba Tweets. He's having a conversation with his bird. Now see, people around me, experiences around me, they are the reason why I paint what I paint. And in my first process, which is called inhalation, I inhale everything around me. I take in, I soak in, I capture the good and the bad, the connection, the disconnection, the power, the weak, everything without any filtration, like I'm not dividing anything that is supposed to be altered. So that's inhalation, the first step. Now I'll take you to the second step, which is called assimilation. Now I've started Travel and Paint India tour this year, and I'm traveling to all the places in the country, and I am painting the walls wherever I feel like. So my first stop was Kurg. And I called Deepika. Deepika lives there, and she knows the place. She is the owner of a cafe, and she's also founder of an NGO, so it is her home ground. And I asked her, Deepika, would you be able to find a wall for me? And she very much indulged. She said, yes, absolutely, and found a beautiful wall for me. That day when I went there, she also showed me around, made me meet her friends, and oh my God, what lovely friends. I captured the essence of the locals. I heard their conversation, didn't understand a single word because of the language, but still the bond felt very familiar to me. And the way they would speak about their culture, their place, it was just so, it was very inspiring for me, you know. It's always inspiring for me when someone speaks from their heart, especially something that matters to them. So I absorbed all of that. I went to the coffee plantation, had the best jaggery, absorbed that as well. And then I became a sponge who was just a medium to create something on that wall that Deepika had provided me. And then I created this. It's called the Kotavadi Beauty. So this part of my process is called assimilation, which is right after inhalation. It is the space where I create a barrier from whatever I've inhaled, the good and the bad, everything that I want and I don't want. When my client says, hey, make this, when someone says, hey, make that, I listen, I inhale everything, and then during assimilation, I create a barrier, and I decide I take only what is required for my art. I take only what is meant to be there on the wall, and that is called assimilation. Now I'll take you to my third process, which is called digestion. So my next stop to my Travel and Paint India tour was in Kochi, and I went to Fort Kochi to paint. Let me tell you, it is a place full of bliss with magic dipped in the beauty of water. And my friend Regin, yes, I have friends everywhere all around the country. My friend Regin, he took me on a tour to see the place, and I saw this Fort Kochi through his eyes, through his lens, like an old school days poem that he kept very close to his heart. And it was beautiful. We went and had the best food. We went and saw the best nature around. And one day we were standing on the beach, and at that time I saw this series of fishermen and women, and one of them, a lady in green, caught my eye. So the moment I saw her, there was like this, Shah Rukh Khan, Deepika Padukone moment, where I just got a glimpse of her and I saw her eyes. It was like there was a layer of silver on her eyes, and it was in the shape of fish. And in my mind, I just thought, oh my God, she became her work. A beauty marinated in the craft of her work. And so I painted this. It's called The Silver Eyes of Kochi. It was one of the most beautiful eyes that I have ever gotten the chance to experience. So this part of my process is called digestion. Now I have inhaled and I have divided. I have kept the things that I want to keep for the wall, and I have completely just disregarded everything that I don't want to. And now with all those things, the things that I've absorbed, I just sleep over. And the next morning when I wake up, I'm excited with this bubble all over my body as if it's sun ray kissed in honey. And now I know which emotions do I want to put on my wall. So this part is called digestion. Now I'll take you to my fourth part, which is called exhalation, and the last part. So Just like Travel and Paint India tour, few years back I was touring another kind of tour, where I met this woman who had faced the gruesomeness of asuras of today's world, and yet she had a beautiful smile on her face. The moment I saw her, I felt home. She had already accepted my soul and I had already accepted hers. I swore that I'll never reveal her name, but let me tell you this, the courage that I saw in her, that she exhibited, that only a mother can do. It was, her energy felt like those 9 days in my hometown Kolkata during Durga Pujo, when Shakti herself comes in the form of Ma Durga, and therefore I named her painting Visalakshi. I exhaled everything for those 3 months. And no, I did not exhale pain. I exhaled courage. I exhaled feminine bold. Now, feminine bold is not defined by men. It doesn't lack courage. It is full of care. It is full of love. And yet, it is beautifully bold. That's feminine bold. So these are the 4 steps that I realized that I actually knew since the day 1 of my car days, but I did not realize the process. But after many ups and downs, after many projects, I figured out that this is how my mind works, and that's what I've presented to you guys. So I urge you today to just breathe a little. With whatever work you're doing, the big things in your office, the little things at your home, the things that people count on you for, the things that you are running after. Just breathe. Breathe beautifully and breathe your creative self. Because it's just your creative self that is going to matter the most in a world full of AI bots in the future. Because at the end of the day, each and every one of you is a born artist.